Border disputes have always been a major cause of war, and sometimes a situation can be made worse by resolutions. Either way, there are some pretty crazy borders in this world. Northwest Angle is an American border town surrounded by Canadian land. It can only be accessed through Canada, so if someone in Northwest Angle wants to get to any other part of their state, they need to cross into Canada and then back into America. The whole problem began as a big mistake. The original borders between the US and Canada were drawn on an inaccurate map. By the time they realized their map was wrong, the borders had already been accepted. There is an ongoing debate over the town's nationality, with some locals wishing to join Canada and others wishing to remain American. Kashmir is a geographical region in South Asia. It's claimed by both India and Pakistan, and after several wars, each country controls part of the region. China also controls some land in Kashmir. Pakistan and China are allies, so they only want more land controlled by India. There is a United Nations line of control, which was intended to act as a border, but the conflict never died down, so today no one really knows where the borders are. Some argue the borders don't even exist. In between Poland and Lithuania is a small patch of land called Kaliningrad. It's not an independent country or disputed land. It's actually part of Russia. Historically, it's been part of a German state called Prussia, and so it was eventually part of Nazi Germany. At the end of World War II, the Soviet Union annexed the area. After the Soviet collapse, its ownership fell to Russia, and they still own it today because they want to, and no one can stop them. It gives them access to the Baltic Sea, which is advantageous both politically and economically. By now, most ethnic Germans have moved away and been replaced by Russians. India and Bangladesh have many borders with each other, which is because of enclaves. An enclave is a patch of land belonging to one country, which happens to be surrounded by land from a different country. The separation of Bangladesh and India was a messy divorce. It left India containing 92 enclaves owned by Bangladesh and 106 Indian enclaves within Bangladesh. It's the cause of quite a lot of conflict, with some enclaves essentially being lawless, as authorities can't enforce laws across international borders. Morocco and Algeria don't have good relations. They share a land border which has been closed for the last 20 years, so people in Morocco can't just go to Algeria. They need to cross into another country first. Their bad relations began with the fall of the French Empire, which they were both part of. It's mostly over territorial disputes, with both nations claiming Western Sahara, a large patch of land bordering Morocco. It's a sparsely populated desertous region, which is partly controlled by Morocco and partly by rebels. Azerbaijan and Armenia also have bad relations. It stems from a similar situation. Both were part of Russia before gaining independence, and territorial disputes followed. Several wars later, and their border status is a mess. Azerbaijan has a huge segment of land as an exclave on the opposite side of Armenia. There's an unrecognized country who control a lot of land at their border. Armenia supports the unrecognized country as they know its recognition would weaken Azerbaijan. The border between North and South Korea should be avoided. It's been a demilitarized zone since the end of the Korean War, but is still dangerous as tensions are high between the armies on either side. It's also covered in landmines which were laid to deter tanks. There have been several violent incidents at the border, so you might get shot just for being there. There are also several tunnels underneath the border, which the North Koreans dug in case they they need to invade the south. Some tunnels were found abandoned, as they were poorly dug and unusable. Market Island has a population of 0. It has no real value in any real way, yet it's a historically important place. In 1809, it became the border between Sweden and Russia, and still hosts the border between Sweden and Finland, and is noteworthy for the shape of its border. Look at that! There's a lighthouse on the Finnish side, but other than that, it's basically empty, so I don't know why the border was drawn like this. It's unclear where the border between Egypt and Sudan actually is. That's because both nations claim one patch of land and neither claim another. Both claim the triangular patch at the coast, which is a valuable area. Neither side claim the other patch, which is isolated and has no value. If they were to claim it, they would need to give up on the triangular patch. The triangle is administered as part of Egypt, and the other as part of Sudan, with the international community considering this to be their border. For number 1, I'm grouping together every single Middle Eastern country. Violent border conflicts are quite common in the region, and it's because their borders were drawn by idiots. Most of the Middle East was ruled by the Ottoman Empire until its defeat at the end of World War I. After its defeat, its territory was carved up by the British and French empires, giving the individual nations new borders. Borders were drawn for administrative purposes, often ignoring ethnic and religious divisions. Fast forward to modern day, and we have the Kurdistan problem, and a bunch of others too.